Hello students. Today is the third lecture session, part 2. The topic of the lecture is the operating system. In this video, we will cover the following topics. Operating system definition. Functions of the operating system. The structure of the operating system. Classification of operating systems. Operating system requirements. Evolution of operating systems. Conclusion. Operating system definition. Computer technology has recently made a significant leap forward, and soon it will be impossible to imagine our lives without the help of a computer. But without an operating system, a computer is just a set of chips. It is on the basis of the operating system that all the programs that we use work. It is the OS that will primarily depend on the speed and productivity of our work on the computer. A modern computer consists of one or more processors, RAM, disks, printer, keyboard, mouse, monitor, network interfaces, and other various I/O devices. The result is a rather complex system. If every programmer who creates an application needs to understand all the subtleties of the operation of all these devices, then he will not write a single line of code. Moreover, managing all these components and making optimal use of them is a very difficult task. For this reason, computers are equipped with a special level of software called the operating system, whose task is to manage user programs, as well as manage all hardware resources. Operating system: a set of programs that provides the user with a convenient environment for working with computer equipment. The operating system allows you to run user programs, manages all the resources of the computer system: processor, RAM, input/output devices, provides long-term storage of data in the form of files on external memory devices, provides access to computer networks. All components can be divided into two large classes: programs or software, and hardware. The software is divided into application, tool, and system. Let's briefly consider each type of software. The purpose of creating a computer system is to solve user problems. To solve a certain range of tasks, an application program is created. Examples of application programs are text editors and processors, Notepad, Microsoft Word, image editors, Paint, Microsoft Visio, spreadsheets, Microsoft Excel, database management systems, Microsoft Access, Microsoft SQL Server, browsers, Internet Explorer, and so on. The whole set of application programs is called application software. Software is created using a variety of programming tools, development environments, compilers, debuggers, etc., the totality of which is called instrumental software. The representative of the tool software is the Microsoft Visual Studio development environment. The main type of system software is operating systems. Their main task is to provide an interface, a way of interaction, between the user and applications on the one hand, and the hardware on the other. System software also includes system utilities, programs that perform a strictly defined function for servicing the computer system, for example, diagnose the state of the system, defragment files on the disk, compress, archive data. Utilities can be included in the operating system. Interaction of all programs with the operating system is carried out by means of system calls, requests of programs for execution by the operating system of necessary actions. A set of system calls forms the application programming interface, application programming interface. Next, let's look at what functions modern operating systems should perform. Functions of the operating system. The main functions performed by operating systems include program execution, support loading programs into memory, providing programs with CPU time, and handling system calls. RAM management, efficient allocation of memory to programs, accounting for free and occupied memory. External memory management, support for various file systems. I/O management, enabling operation with various peripherals, providing a user interface. Security, protection of information and other system resources from unauthorized use. Organization of network interaction. The structure of the operating system. Before studying the structure of operating systems, you should consider the operating modes of processors. Modern processors have at least two modes of operation: privileged supervisor mode and user mode. The difference between them is that in user mode, processor commands related to hardware management, RAM protection, and switching processor operating modes are not available. In privileged mode, the processor can execute all possible commands. Applications running in user mode cannot directly access each other's address spaces, only through system calls. All components of the operating system can be divided into two groups: working in privileged mode and working in user mode, and the composition of these groups varies from system to system. The main component of the operating system is the kernel. The functions of the kernel may differ significantly from system to system, but in all systems, the kernel operates in privileged mode, which is often referred to as kernel mode. The term core is also used in different senses. For example, in Windows, the term kernel, CentOS kernel, refers to the combination of two components: the executive system, executive layer, and the kernel itself, kernel layer. There are two main types of kernels: monolithic kernels and microkernels. The monolithic kernel implements all the main functions of the operating system, and it is, in fact, a single program, which is a set of procedures. The microkernel has only a minimum of functions that must be implemented in privileged mode: thread scheduling, interrupt handling, and inter-process communication. Other functions of the operating system for managing applications, memory, security, etc. are implemented as separate modules in user mode. Kernels that occupy an intermediate position between monolithic and microkernels are called hybrid kernels. Examples of different types of cores: monolithic kernel MS-DOS, Linux, FreeBSD. Microkernel Mach, Symbian, Minix, Free. Hybrid core netware, BIOS, Syllable. It is impossible to refer Windows N to truly monolithic kernels, rather to hybrid ones. In addition to the kernel, drivers, software modules that control devices, operate in privileged mode in most operating systems. The operating system also includes system libraries: System.dll dynamic link library, dynamically linked library, that convert application system calls to kernel system calls. Custom shells that provide the user with an interface, a convenient way to work with the operating system. User shells implement one of two main types of user interface: text user interface, TUI, other names console user interface, CUI, command line interface, CLI, graphical user interface, GUI. An example of implementing a text interface in Windows is the CMD command line interpreter. Example of a graphical interface: Windows Explorer, Explorer. Classification of operating systems. There are several ways to classify operating systems. 1. According to the method of organizing calculations. At processing operating systems, the goal is to perform the maximum number of computational tasks per unit of time. At the same time, a package is formed from several tasks, which is processed by the system. Time-sharing operating systems. The goal is the possibility of simultaneous use of one computer by several users. It is implemented by providing each user with an interval of processor time in turn. Real-time operating systems. The goal is to complete each task in a strictly defined time interval for a given task. 2. By core type. Monolithic operating systems. Microkernel operating systems. Hybrid operating systems. 3. The number of simultaneously solved tasks. Single-tasking operating systems. Multitasking operating systems. 4. By the number of concurrent users. Single-user operating systems. Multi-user operating systems. 5. The number of supported processors. Uniprocessor operating systems. Multiprocessor operating systems. 6. Support network. Local operating systems, autonomous systems that are not designed to work in a computer network. Network operating systems, systems that have components that allow you to work with computer networks. 7. For her role in network communication. Server operating systems that provide access to network resources and manage network infrastructure. Client operating systems that can access network resources. 8. By license type. Open source operating systems with open source code available for study and modification. Proprietary operating systems that have a specific copyright holder, usually supplied with closed source code. 9. By application. Mainframe operating systems, large computers. Server operating systems. Personal computer operating systems. Mobile operating systems. Embedded operating systems. Router operating systems. Operating system requirements. The main requirement for modern operating systems. Extensibility, the ability of the system to acquire new functions in the process of evolution, often implemented by adding new modules. Portability, the ability to migrate the operating system to another hardware platform with minimal changes. Compatibility, the ability to work together. There may be compatibility of the new version of the operating system with applications written for the old version, a compatibility of different operating systems in the sense that applications for one of these systems can be run on another and vice versa. Reliability, the probability of failure-free operation of the system. Performance, the ability to provide acceptable problem-solving time and system response time. Evolution of operating systems. The first OS. MNAL was the first operating system for computers. It was created in 1955 by Robert Patrick with General Motors and Owen Mock with North American Aviation. It was based on a system monitor and worked on large machines. The main function of MNAL is to automatically execute a new program when the old program has ended. The appearance of a Plato. In 1972, the Plato system was developed, which had a number of innovations, such as the orange plasma panel. It included memory and the features of raster graphics. The Plato plasma display supported the ability to quickly draw vector lines. Many of the innovations introduced by the Plato OS became the foundation for the development of other computer systems in the future. The rise of Unix. The first Unix system was developed in 1969 at AT&T's Bell Labs division. Since then, a large number of different Unix systems have been created. Some distinguishing features of Unix systems include: 1. Using text files to configure and manage the system. 2. Widespread use of command line utilities. 3. Interaction with the user via a virtual device terminal. 4. View physical and virtual devices as files. The ideas behind Unix have had a huge impact on the development of computer operating systems. Currently, Unix systems are recognized as one of the most historically important operating systems. This operating system popularizes the idea of a hierarchical file system with an arbitrary nesting depth. Linux. Linux was created in 1991 by Linus Torvalds, a Finnish student. The fact that Linus immediately after the creation of the OS posted the source code of his OS on the internet was decisive in the future fate of Linux. Although in 1991 the internet was not yet as widespread as it is today, but it was used mainly by people who have sufficient technical training. And from the very beginning, Torvalds received several interested reviews with an offer to help in the development, to which Linus agreed, and after 6 months, hundreds of thousands of volunteer assistants joined the development. Due to the fact that the Linux source code is distributed freely and publicly, a large number of independent developers have been involved in the development of the system from the very beginning. MS-DOS. MS-DOS is Microsoft's commercial operating system for PC-compatible personal computers. MS-DOS runs on the real-time X processor. Only one program is executed at a time. MS-DOS was designed so that users could easily replace the built-in interpreter with extraneous command line interpreters, such as ForDOS. Windows. On November 10, 1983, Windows 1 was developed. Behind the colorful caftan of the graphical interface, the obsolete MS-DOS was hidden. The black screen reflecting the programmer's bald head gave way to Windows. The cost is $100, sold over copies. On December 9, 1987, Windows 2 was developed. It lost the shortcomings of the first version. The Windows moved freely and a garbage bucket appeared. The interface has been updated, buttons for minimizing and maximizing windows, support for hotkeys, and a built-in dynamic data exchange program for messaging. The price has not changed, sales have increased 2 times. On May 22, 1990, Windows 3 was developed. It appeared and became a window to the Internet. Since version 3.1, the TCP protocol is used. On July 27, 1993, Windows N was developed, a new generation operating system that was originally developed for servers. August 24, 1995. Windows 95 is the first full-fledged OS for home use. A dashing hacker plays a Klondike, listens to a WoW melody and stares for 15 minutes at a slowly drawn image in the Internet Explorer browser. Multitasking has gone to the masses. The interface has become user-friendly and cute. There is a Start button. Colors. Sold 40 million copies for $210. Windows 98. June 21, 1998 comes the natural continuation of Windows 95 with improved USB, high-volume DHD support, pre-installed software, updated Explorer and Outlook Express. In 7 days, 500,000 disks were sold at a price of $110. On February 17, 2000, Millennium appeared, which received the popular nickname Linoleum. The miscarriage-stimulated folk art, and old Billy learned a lot about himself. GIFs depicting the heads of the corporation demonstrated the breadth of imagination of Windows adepts. Windows Me was essentially Windows 98 with a new beautiful skin, an audio-video player and a huge number of bugs. Chupacabra could not save even a meager price tag of $60. Having scored on a failed project, Microsoft releases a new OS, the legendary Windows SP. The system is still popular for its stability, low resource requirements, and concise graphical interface. Since August 15, 2019, she is considered an adult. According to information from NetMarketScore, rests installed on 12% of all laptops on the planet. The price tag is $85. On November 30, 2006, Windows Vista Linoleum's Sister by Misfortune is released. A beautiful and bright person turned out to be too demanding of the food base. Sensing something was wrong, users hastily migrated back to SP, new protection against viruses, identifying the user as the enemy. Beautiful error that turns the Pentium IV into firewood. The price tag is $200-400. Windows 7 was released on October 22, 2009, and became the most popular operating system in the first decade of the 21st century, installed on 55.7% of PCs according to NetMarketScore. Fast, productive, with a nice interface, it combined the brutal nature of SP and the beauty of Vista. The cost at the time of release is $160, $320. In October 2012, Windows 8 appeared, confirming the theory the corporation releases a normal product through one. Many did not like the tiled interface. Besides the OS infinitely quickly devoured RAM, on the other hand, the system was stable and loaded quickly. The attempt to create a universal product for tablets, computers and phones came out as the third lump. On July 29, 2015, Windows 10 appears, running on all platforms. The usual Start button has been returned. Microsoft Edge, streaming Xbox One, and Microsoft Store are added to the menu. The price is $199. Mobile operating systems. Now more and more interest of users is attracted by smartphones on various operating systems, Windows Phone, Boda EOS, the most popular ones are EOS and Android OS. EOS is a mobile operating system built on the Linux kernel and developed and produced by the American company Apple. It was released in 2007 initially, for iPhone and iPod Touch. Now it is installed on all Apple devices. Such innovations as the Safari mobile browser, visual voicemail, and virtual keyboard have made EOS one of the most popular systems for smartphones. Android, the system that is most dynamically developed for smartphones, originally for communicators. iPhone and its touchscreen changed the opinion of Google. It is a simplified version of similar Windows and Linux systems used on desktop PCs and laptops, focused on the touchscreen. The Android platform consists of an operating system, an interface that connects software and powerful applications. Google Chrome OS, Cloud OS. Chrome OS is positioned as an operating system for various devices from small netbooks to full-size desktop systems and supports X and ARM processor architectures. The new Google Chrome OS is open source, based on an optimized Linux kernel and managed by the Chrome browser. The main feature will be the dominance of web applications over the usual OS functions. The key role is assigned to the browser. The strategy of creating a new product implies an architecture that is undemanding to the hardware resources of a personal computer used to access the internet. All applications that the system runs are web services. In fact, all actions that take place on the computer are performed on the internet. There is no need to install any offline applications. In this regard, working in Chrome OS does not require the computer to have powerful resources, because all processes are run not on the computer itself, but on the servers of the corresponding services. Conclusion. In this lecture, the definition of the operating system is given, the types of software are presented, the functions and structure of the operating system are considered. Special attention is paid to the concept of cores. Various methods of classification of operating systems and requirements for modern operating systems are also given. The user's operating system becomes something like a web browser installed on bare metal. Many modern components of the OS will simply not be needed, others will leave the user and turn into API services for programmers. The main task of the OS will be to provide the ability to run the client part of cloud services. Much depends on the decisions, successes and failures of large software companies such as Microsoft, Google. In contrast to the evolution of software that we saw in the 90s and 2000s, the new evolution is less dependent on hardware manufacturers, and more on manufacturers of end-user software. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.